How much does it cost to start doing Amazon FBA private label? Amazon FBA is a great way to make money online, but it isn't a get-rich-quick strategy. There's going to be the cost of inventory, Amazon FBA fees, and other miscellaneous things that are going to cost money to get your business up and running. It's important that you take your time and do your research to make sure that you're fully prepared to embark on this journey. The last thing you want is to be caught off guard by unexpected expenses. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, pre-warning, these are elements that I've deemed to be essential to starting your Amazon business, but for you, it might be different. Prices are also going to vary from business to business, but I just want to provide a ballpark estimate. So your first cost is going to be the Amazon Seller Central Professional Selling Account, and this runs you $39.99 a month. This is going to be a hub for all of your Amazon operations. The next thing I would recommend is setting up a legal entity like an LLC or incorporating. Now, you can manage being a sole proprietor if it's just you, but if you have a partner or something, it's always advised to get your legal entity going. An LLC is a really good idea because, like, in the case that somebody sues you, then they can only come after the company's financial assets, not your own personal financial assets. Having an LLC is also way better for taxes because then you have everything centralized and you know where all your business expenses are, instead of having to take those out of your personal account and then you have to go through everything and figure out what was for your own personal purchase and what was for a business purchase. Now, getting an LLC in the States can vary in price from state to state, and if you're incorporating in Canada, it can vary from province to province, but generally for this video, I'm going to put it at $300. The next thing I would recommend getting is a business bank account. This bank account will allow you to receive payments from Amazon, and then you can also pay any business expenses directly from that account. It makes everything really easy to keep track of, it's all centralized, and I believe you can actually start a basic business account for as little as $5 a month. The next thing is going to be a product research tool. Now, you've probably heard of these already, and the top two are going to be Helium 10 and Jungle Scout. Both relatively equate to about $50 a month for at least the first month or two. This is where you can find products to sell, understand keywords, and do so much more. Some people will tell you that this part is optional, but I think most serious sellers would agree that these are pretty essential to success on Amazon nowadays. Now, let's talk about the design of a logo and your packaging. Everyone needs a logo, but not everybody is an artist. So it's probably a good idea to get a freelance graphic designer off of Fiverr. You can generally find a good artist for around, let's say, $100, but always check out their portfolio and make sure that it's actually their art that they're creating. Now, that being said, you can probably find cheaper graphic designers, but you get what you pay for. So if you really want to look professional, I would definitely spend the extra maybe $50 and just get a really professional logo done. And related to that is designing your packaging. Sometimes manufacturers will actually have graphic designers on site that can design your packaging for you. The manufacturer can also just give you the dimensions of the packaging, and then you can take those dimensions, go on Fiverr, find a designer that can use those dimensions and design you a nice packaging. Again, you don't really want to skimp out on design, so usually this will probably be about $100 to $150 for a good design of your packaging. Inventory. Now, inventory costs will vary from product to product, but you probably already know that. Assuming your per unit sourcing cost is around $1 to $4, you could be looking at your inventory costing about $1,000 to $4,000. Your manufacturer will obviously be the one who's able to give you the most direct quote, and every product is different, and it just depends on what you're modifying with your product. So just for the sake of this video, let's say that the product you're sourcing is $1 per unit and you're gonna order 1,000 units for your first order. That's gonna be $1,000. MOQs are also different for each manufacturer. So some minimum order quantities might be the manufacturer says you have to order 500 units at least, or it could be 1,000 units at least. I will mention it's always good to go on Amazon Seller Central and check your stock limits, because when you're first starting out, Amazon implements limits of how much you can actually send to them. A common amount is 1,000 units, so just be wary before you order a certain amount of units. Make sure you're able to actually send that to Amazon before you order. Now let's talk about shipping. Now, shipping's a tough one because it varies so heavily, like month to month, but generally I've heard by sea you can get it for about $500. And then a rate that I've heard for air shipping is about $5 per kilogram. If you don't know the difference, shipping by sea is a lot slower but more cost effective, and shipping by air is a lot faster but a little more expensive. Also, you're gonna have to pay an import duty when you're importing to the US, assumingly, and that's generally 10 to 20% of your shipping costs. Let's now move on to photos. Now, photos are what sells your Amazon product, right? Keywords are what get the product in front of the potential consumer, and then the images are what convince them to buy. Now, let me just tell you, you do not want to cheap out on photos. A lot of freelancers are maybe photographers, but they're not experts in product photography, especially product photography that abides by Amazon's TOS. Even if they know that, they might not know how to color grade or add infographic images, and you'd be really lucky to find someone who's proficient in all of that. It can be a real mess if you're trying to find the photographer, then you need an editor, then you need a graphic designer, and it can end up costing quite a bit as well. Your saving grace is that luckily there's places like AMZ OneStep that can handle all of this for you. AMZ OneStep is the premier Amazon product photography studio in the world. We do Amazon, and that's it. We are specialists that create images that convert. We do images, main images, infographic images, lifestyle images. We also do video, A+ content, and listing creation, PPC, and so much more. So if you want to get in contact with us, there will be a link in the description below. Anyway, I'm going to give you an estimate, assuming you just go with the Fiverr photographer, and that can run anywhere from $150 to $250. Next, let's talk about the UPC codes. You're going to have to go to the GS1 website that Amazon recommends. This is where you can get a GTIN, a necessary categorization tool that will allow you to add your product to Amazon. You'll also get your UPC code, which allows Amazon to identify and categorize your product. Now, I've seen people say it's $250 for 10 UPC codes, but if you only need one UPC code because you only have one SKU, I believe it's only $25. As well, I'll mention that you should have a little bit of cash stacked up, maybe $100 to $200 for just random fees that will come along the way with starting up your business. Finally, there's Amazon PPC. Now, some people say this is also optional, but in my opinion, it's definitely not. This is how you advertise your product on Amazon. This is how you get ranked, and without it, I really can't see you succeeding on Amazon unless you're some big brand that just comes to the platform and already has a massive audience. PPC is extremely important at all times, but especially during launch. So before launch, I would probably keep around 500. If you can save about $1,000 for PPC to really ensure that you're giving yourself the best possible chance to rank on page 1. If I've adjusted my math and somehow I was wrong initially, I'm gonna be putting the amount right here on the YouTube video, and this is the correct amount. The one thing I did leave out, which I still think is kind of essential but more down the road, is getting trademarked. Getting trademarked allows you to be brand registered on Amazon, which allows you to add A+ content and video to your listings. It's something that if you're a serious seller, you should really consider, but again, it's not immediately needed when you're first starting out. So with this video, I hope I didn't discourage you if you don't have this amount of money right now. But it's better to wait and build up that money if you're serious about starting an Amazon business. It's way worse to think like, okay, I can start this business with maybe $2,000 and really just bootstrap it. 99% of the time, it won't work because if you skimp out on some really important aspect of the business, everything will come tumbling down. The first stages of getting your Amazon business going are like interconnected building blocks, and you need to make sure they're all of equal strength and all put together properly. If they're not, the entire structure falls down. So if you want to get into this, it could take months or even a year or two, depending on your financial situation, to save up this amount of money. That being said, this all happens in steps. So you're not going to need that $3,800 right out the gate. First, let's say you apply for the LLC, then you apply for the business bank account, then you're contacting manufacturers and working out details of the product, and so on. The costs will come in waves. That's just how the order of operations works when setting up your Amazon business, but it is best to have that chunk of money ready when you need it. Anyway, so here is the final tally of costs. Hopefully they're over here, and you can pause the video right now if you need to check everything out. There's also the bond, which is $85, which just allows you to import your goods into the United States. Okay, conclusion time. So those are my recommendations for what you need and what they cost. I would say don't rush into this and only take the leap when you have the financial means to do so. Now, I'd honestly recommend checking other YouTube videos out regarding this subject so that you can get an even better idea of what your needs are and how much it'll cost. If this video helped you out at all, please consider liking and subscribing as it helps out the channel. I put out new Amazon videos every week, so subscribing ensures that you're always in the know and that you can be the best Amazon seller that you can be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.